The Jets, on the other hand, do not have a setup like the Pittsburgh Steelers, where it is the Steeler way and veteran quarterbacks who are needing them to have another run at it before the end of their career winds up in Canton, Ohio. They have a situation unlike the Steelers, where the owner just fired a coach in the middle of the season, despite being one game out of first place. And this coach is rewarded in a way that I'm sure Robert Saleh is sitting at home going, oh, now you get Davante Adams and settle the Hassan Reddick holdout? Now you do that.
Right?
Oh,
like,
jeez. It kind of like you didn't want to do it for me. Kind of like you were waiting for me to just slip up one more time.
Yeah.
And you've got a quarterback who is running the show. And I know Aaron Rodgers hates to hear that. But one moment last night that I saw where it's just like, are you running the show or are you not? Is when Breece Hall looked like he was scoring and he's ruled down right before he creased the goal line. And Rodgers turns to Jeff Ulbrich and gives the international symbol of challenge it. Flips his arm up in the air, and Jeff Ulbrich takes his flag out, dropped it, right? Did you see that? Couldn't get it out there on the field, then he finally did. Mm-hmm. And before the refs saw the flag, I guess, Rodgers picked it up and threw it. By the way, great throw. Flung it back right at the head coach, then called the play and scored the touchdown. And it's just like, okay, but he scored the touchdown.
That's good.
He did score the touchdown,
yeah,
but
good.
It's just like, again, who's running the show? And good Lord, do I hope that Rodgers is running the show correctly. Because right now it doesn't feel that way, even though, again, the interception before the first half that completely flipped the script because the Jets were up, trying to go in up by more than 2 scores, right? They could have been up a ton if they scored right before the first half. Instead, Steelers make a great defensive play. Russ turns it into points. And then to start the second half, Garrett Wilson has the ball just hit right off his 5. And it almost led to a pick 6. Not Rodgers' fault. So obviously when he's asked after the game, what now? Well, he's the only one who's going to answer for it because Woody's not going to go before the press. And Jeff Ulbrich, it's just like he's just the interim. I mean, this is the guy you have to go to. Period. End of story. Because he's running the show. Hit it.
It's been a rough stretch since we played so good on Thursday night. We've lost each of those 4 in different ways, but we got to figure it out. Obviously, we added 2 big-time players to the locker room. One's here, one's coming Monday. So, everything's still right in front of us. We got to somehow keep the belief in the locker room and start a run. You can't win 10 in a row unless you win the first one. So we got to be very critical of ourselves, each of us individually, tomorrow, and then come in with the right attitude all week and go to New England and get a win.
How do you get everybody to keep the belief in? It seems like a lot of the same mistakes.
Stop listening to you guys.
Oh, man.
Yeah, that's...
I mean, the RALAX, Rodgers, that would have been a nice moment right there, but instead the you guys. There's the New York media, you guys. But the New York media doesn't really challenge him in a way that...
No,
that I've never seen the New York media not challenge somebody who's 2-5 at the quarterback spot. And part of the reason, again, is it's not his fault.
Well, it never is.
Well, but this time around, again, those picks last night, but then again, it just comes from the top. It comes from the top. When you bounce your head coach, okay, when you bounce your head coach and then turn to somebody who's never done it before and say, you're now the head coach, and then the defense starts folding, you got to wonder, is it because Ulbrich can't do it all? Maybe you should have kept the CEO at the top. Unless, again, we don't know what's going on in that locker room. And I don't believe Rodgers pulled a code red on Saleh. I just don't. And I know that sounds like head in the sand. I don't believe that. I don't. But to make that move, and everything is just like a team that's on paper. It looks like one of those dream team teams that just don't have it all clicking, where 1 minute you see that offensive series that the Jets go down, and it was Breece Hall, a lot of Breece Hall, and there was some Allen Lazard, and then even Davante caught one, and Garrett Wilson caught one. It's just like, wow, that's the way it can be. And then it's just never consistent. And then the defense, I mean, the two rookies of the year that they had last night, Pickens lights up Sauce for 100, and Wilson has one go off his chest. And then, that's why I said when Davante Adams came, can he tackle? Can he block? Now, can he defend on the back end? Because there's a bunch of defensive backs who are banged up there. I guess Hassan Reddick can help there, because if you're banged up on the back end, one way to help is just have the front end, just put the quarterback on his ass. But it just always seems to be something's off. And who are you going to turn to? The interim head coach? Is he going to be able to do it all? It just seems like everything's thrown in a bag and say, eventually it'll work out. But 2-5 is a pretty damn difficult spot to be in, because if, let's just say the Ravens and the Chiefs win their divisions, right? Which I don't think is a lot to imagine.
Nope, I don't think so either.
You know who would be the wild card teams coming out of those divisions? The Broncos and the Steelers, who have both beaten the Jets. So they're not only going to have to be better, they're going to have to be better than those teams that are already in front of them.
Right.
And the division, that thing's gone. And that thing's history. We don't even have the Jets on the board as sniffing it. The Dolphins are only 2-4. That's why they're on the board sniffing it. And they're going to get Tua back. Right now, the Jets are 3.5 out of first place. 7 games in. And the Bills got Amari Cooper scoring a touchdown, and Davante Adams is sitting there with the 1,000-yard stare that we saw him have in Vegas. But Rodgers is correct in this regard. Keep it in-house and start stacking. Drake Maye is next up for them.
Yeah, and if Russ did that to the Jets, what's Drake going to do?
Okay.
Oh, boy.
All right.
I mean,
same quarterback, I'm sure. Problem is, though, is that they've got Houston coming in on a Thursday night, on Halloween night. That could be a trick as opposed to a treat. And then a bunch of winnable games that the Jets don't really seem to have so far proven. They're one of those teams that they can win the winnable games, with the exception of their lone 2 wins of the season. But I will say this, Chris. I know you're enjoying whatever troll that is.
That's not a troll. That's a fact. Drake May looks really good.
Drake May is definitely the team that the Jets will face in New England is far better than the team that strolled into their house for the last win that they've had on a short week with a quarterback who isn't as good as Drake May and an offensive line that was half there. So the Jets better pack their defense and better actually show up on offense and not make the mistakes. And have, hopefully, Tyron Smith go back into the days of the Cowboys. I'll tell you what, that whole all-in thing, everybody thought Tyron Smith was walking. I'm just going to call it as I see it. They didn't get the Cowboys, Tyron Smith, the Jets right now. But again, it's just something's not working. I don't know what it is. Don't put the finger on it. And the way I put the finger on it is that one way we saw last night, there's a Rooney way of doing it and a Tomlin way of doing it, and everybody fits into that. And when they're gone, there'll still be a Rooney way of doing it and a Tomlin way of doing it. And the Jets have what way to do it? I don't know. Let's just throw everything in Rodgers' lap and say, let's make it work out. And 1 year, his Achilles gives 4 snaps in, and this year, 7 games in. Believe it or not, the Jets are currently 2 games worse this year than they were last year. Through 7 games under Saleh and Zach Wilson, the Jets were 4-3. This year, they're 2-5. With Rodgers and with Saleh bounced for whatever reason. Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku Channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.